And welcome everybody. Today is Monday, September 16, and this is the bi-weekly Model Registry, Kubeflow Model Registry meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and this meeting, like all Kubeflow meetings, adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct. I will go forward directly with the agenda points because we have quite some dense agenda today, so I want to make sure to give space to everybody. So I think for a first point, we had Eder and Lucas with some UI and BFF progress, and with Jenny that added a point for the material UI. So please welcome, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Let me share my screen. I'll just have here. I have some slides and then the real demo, because this is not just like showcasing the actual progress, but more just like giving an overview and the roadmap itself that we are just planning ahead for the next couple of sprints and releases. So this is just a slide from Eder's presentation regarding the modular architecture project itself, in which we justify like the use of this kind of architecture. The reason behind just using BFF is to or this kind of implementation that we're going to showcase today, just to provide a consistent UX experience across all the Kubeflow UI projects. To achieve that, later on, Jenny will showcase the part of the material UI. Then provide architectural recommendation from Kubeflow UI projects. We're using some broad tools and frameworks that are available and can be used in each and every new project of Kubeflow, and enable community and distributions to consume each web application independently. In that case, like being able to contribute to each and every feature without the need of just download everything and having a rough onboarding. So like the goals for that is just streamline the onboarding of new front-end developers in the Kubeflow community. We'll see how this is just added right now and how can we contribute right now. Allow projects and communities to operate independently, and enable community and distributions to customize the CSS look and feel. So whether you should need to just have a material UI look, or maybe pass from the material UI to 3 or whatever, we are providing a streamlined solution for that. So right now we are in the first phase of the POC. Right now we are contributing and we are having our dev efforts in the Model Registry repo. And in this phase, we are providing this solution right now. We have a front end and a back end, BFF. The front end is implemented in React with Webpack. It provides unit and integration testing and consumes the BFF through an API Swagger specification that we define to just get all the information needed for the development. And as well as just having that same test coverage in the Golang server, which, by the way, it's mandatory for new contributions, just to make sure like everything is like new contributions won't mess up the current code. We'll just add the end-to-end testing to just make sure we provide some user flow paths in our test coverage too. And the BFF itself is the one that it's interacting with the controller itself inside the cluster. That means that if, for example, the cluster contains some sort of versioning, our API is independent, and we have some sort of wrapper in which we can change some functionality and just separate our model layer to the part of the UI presentation. So in that way, like users who just want to contribute in the UI side can be unaware on what's happening inside the cluster and how model registry works, and the complexity that's behind there. They don't need to know about Kubeflow, Kubernetes, or everything else. So it's just easy for newcomers to just start and contribute there. And with that, we are gonna just showcase the demo and the current snapshot that we have right now. This is the project itself. It's under the Model Registry GitHub repo, and here we have both the BFF and frontend folders, which are the ones that are containing um, both parts of the demo. The front end itself is, as I said, created in React, and the BFF it's in Golang. To just start, if you do a first install, you just need to have Node and Golang installed in your computer as a prerequisite, a requisite to just start developing right there. But then you just need to do an npm install in the front end and do a build in the backend. Once you have that, starting to develop right here, as we have mocks based on the API Swagger, it's just as easy as executing a command of make run for 4000 and mocking the client. And with that, just running the npm run start dev. With that, in less than 15 seconds, we can start contributing into the repo itself. And right now, if we go ahead into localhost, this should be working. I'm not sure what's happening right here. Hold on, this is just
I think the BFF
demo.
is down.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. What happened right here? No.
It's missing a.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
It's demo. Yeah.
It's a demo effect. Okay, yeah. Here it is. Okay, so yes, in 10-15 seconds, you have a full-fledged development environment with some mock data. There's some drawbacks with that. There are some posts and some actions that it doesn't have the effect that you need. But so far, for small contributions, it's more than enough. And then we have a next step to just get everything connected to the model registry easily. There's instruction for that. Right now, we have port the first screen, which is a model registry view. Right here, we have all the part of model registry with the selectors. We have right here federated search for model registries. We have the models themselves right here. We can either register a new model, which is still under development, but we can filter from different models or whatever we want to have right here. The ability to archive new models if we want, sort them out and everything regarding that, and view archive models. We have the labels management, the part of model registry and everything regarding that. We are working to have this week the next screens regarding model versions and model details. But so far as you can see, right now in 15 seconds, we've just achieved a way of just contributing right here. Whether we need to change something regarding this view or wherever, we have the ability to do that easily. For this to be working, we use Patternfly as the component library. Right now, it's using the look and feel of Patternfly 6. And right now, in some minutes, Jenny will showcase how can we translate that into Material UI. Apart from that, this is a phase one. We are targeting end of September to have 80% of the development, more or less, like everything regarding all these views on the setting page. There we will have led some CI/CD work, architectural decisions, and so on. But so far, we are targeting having everything finished by the end of this sprint. The features that we are including in this first POC, it's management of resources, both registered models, model versions, and model artifacts, model registration of models and versions, model archival, and setting views. Then we'll have the second phase, which will start by October, more or less. Here we are starting the material UI layer presentation in end of September, but so far, like, we are expecting to just be applying that at the end of this sprint, maybe next one. Integration with Kubeflow dashboard and exploration of further features that we are right now switching in midstream, and we need to just explore how to integrate or whether they can be achieved right here, such as, for example, model deployment listing, model deployment, admin management, and more features, because so far admin will be just showcasing the model registries and has multi-tenancy and so on. And the third phase will be just the modular architecture itself. Right now, this POC is to showcase the ability to just achieve the goals that we showcase at first at the beginning of the presentation. But the end goal will be just have proper micro front-end microservice architecture, in which we'll have services for cluster states, authentication, UI model federation, building to build and showcase a project itself based on micro front-ends, share libraries such as util libraries, networkings, and components that needs to be shared between components, and enhance and federate the building and have conditional rendering of features. That's the plan that will come after the second phase of the POC. And if we greenlight this and we are able to just get that into Kubeflow, we can start building next microservices based out of this. And at least we'll have most of the initial project work based on like the scaffolding and pretty much everything that we've achieved with Model Registry, prepare for next projects. Yeah, that's basically it. Now I'm gonna give the spotlight to Jenny, and she will talk about like part of material UI. Thanks all.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you, Lucas, for that awesome intro and presentation. I'm just going to share my screen now. All right, cool. So just to give a quick introduction, my name is Jenny. I'm a developer on the UXD team. I've contributed a lot to Patternfly, and currently I'm working on this effort, which is to use Patternfly 6 components to visually match material UI. So the goal of this project, we've already created a material UI POC. So the remaining effort is to prioritize components from the Model Registry UI and build those on top of Patternfly 6 design tokens. So since Kubeflow uses material UI, we want to use Patternfly and update the styling to match MUI as close as possible. So what I'm sharing right now is the first sweep at this effort. So this is currently ongoing. And this is what we have so far, the progress. So this is a registered model screen. As you can see, Lucas was just showing that this is all updated to PF6, and PF6 offers that new capability to use those design tokens to update the styling to custom theming. So what we're doing is that here, if we toggle the MUI theme switch, you'll be able to see that we're going to be applying a lot of that MUI styling that comes out of the box with MUI, and we're using Patternfly components underneath the hood. So you can see a lot of this, for example, we have that default button styling. We have like the drop-down styling. The MUI likes to make everything uppercase, so you're seeing a lot of that here too. The label styling is a bit different. We toggle it on and off. You'll see some differences. They're subtle, but they're there, and it's going to go a long way in making sure that everything is aligned. Most of these components here, these are pretty much most of them. For example, so like if we click on a project here or model, you'll be able to see that styling extends here too. So the tab styling is also comes out of MUI, and you see a lot of that button styling get translated to different sections within the model registry screens that you see here. Just to give a demo of what that looks like under the hood, I think I'll have to share my whole screen, so just bear with me here. Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. So now you're seeing what's happening under the hood. So the way that we're doing this is we're declaring these custom style overrides up in this MUI theme CSS file. So all of these tokens here, we're setting to the values that come directly out of MUI. So all of these values are now being declared as custom variables, and then they're being set to the existing Patternfly variables and overriding what styling comes out of the box with that. So instead of using, for example, like whatever Patternfly v6 alert warning title color is, we're setting it to the global token here, or you can also just set it to what we declare for like that what comes from MUI. So this is up here, and that's a custom override that comes from MUI to match what MUI is doing there. So as I said, this is an ongoing effort. It's almost done. We have a few more screens to do. For example, like the register model form is next. So we'll be applying the styling to the form fields here and trying to make that match MUI. And then I think with that, there will be just one more screen left after that. So most of the styling will extend to the rest of the screens within Model Registry. But yeah, that's the current progress of the effort. And yeah, as always, open to feedback and questions from the community. Yes, I see Ramesh, you have a question?
Hey, Jenny, that was awesome to see. I want to say that to begin with, but as good job. I mean, I really appreciate all the work that's going in here. One question I have is this updates to the components, is this a one-time thing? Let's say that in our arsenal of number of screens, let's say 10 screens, we have, let's say, total 50 components we have together in our repository of components that we are using for Model Registry or Kubeflow in general. Once we have those components set up, that's one-time thing, right? It's not we need to set up every time somebody designs a new screen. Unless they are using a new component that's not in this 50, then they need to redesign, design these tokens for that new component. But otherwise, they would automatically inherit and show up, right? Is that
yes, yeah. So what you're saying is right. So yeah, since we're taking a pure CSS approach with this, all of the components that are declared in that CSS file will extend to wherever those styles, you want to apply those styles within the app, if that answers your question.
So, but each time somebody designs a page, do they need to explicitly say that, hey, there is any configuration or something they say, or is that say top level something you switch this CSS to use the material UI, it will show up one way. It's not a individual screen wise, you don't do anything else once initial setup is done. That's what my question. So
just trying to understand better. Your question is like, is it safe to say like the approach that you're asking about is like we want to apply the style sheet like and import it into the files that use it, or something else? You're saying that's not what we're looking for?
I mean, I'm just trying to understand, this is the configuration of applying a style sheet applies across all the screens that we are, right? It's not per screen based. In a screen, you don't choose whether to apply the model registry. Yeah, I think Dheeraj is asking where is it done.
Ramesh, it happens on the top of the micro front end, so everything that is inside will be applied this thing as soon as you turn off. If a good way to understand this is when you go to the Patternfly and you swap between night and white mode. It's everything above is applied. Jenny technology use the same type of mechanism to apply everything inside. So everything is inside is applied. And a second thing that just to add, Ramesh, to be important also for the community is that the work that Jenny is doing here for the Model Registry will work transparently for our next projects that we use Patternfly. So all this work is reusable. Yeah, this is all done in the Y code. It's on the front end that happens. The BFF, I am applying for the answer in the chat. All the work is on the front end. The BFF for us is just a data translation there.
Thank you.
And Lucas and Jenny, thank you so much. You did great on the presentation.
Thank you, Eder. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah, like with the light and dark theme for Patternfly, it's a very similar approach here. Matteo, you have your hand raised too?
Yeah, it's like actually one of the questions was the same that actually Eder just answered. So I understand that this work about applying this design token is being done now for the Model Registry UIs, components, and screen. But then basically you're looking to reuse this one for other, doing the sort of like to give it to the Kubeflow community in general. So let's say this can be applied to say cursor, whatever notebooks screen come next. So first, as Eder, I want to just reiterate as well, thank you so much for taking the time in preparing for these presentations and live demos. It's truly appreciated, and I think, like you say, if doesn't the emoticons speak enough that were earlier, we really appreciate the work that you've been doing and the presentation today. Just one more request, if I may, please, Lucas. I really appreciated sort of like the breakdown on the next step. So maybe my suggestion is please coordinate with Eder or between the two of you. If you could kindly make a GitHub issue in the Kubeflow Model Registry detailing those steps, because for sure we have the recording of this meeting, but it's important at least to keep track about where we are for the community. So let's say that this way, when, for instance, Milos will need to update about how Model Registry is going on with the different release schedules, we can tell where we are and what will be part of a release and what will be part of the next Kubeflow release or for Model Registry.
For sure. Thanks, Matteo. Yeah, we'll Eder and I will sync to yes, make sure we reflect the roadmap in the GitHub repository. That's great. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And again, I don't need kind of like a nitty-gritty details, but sort of like I really enjoyed the sort of like overview about what is your roadmap, and let's say have it a general way that we can periodically sync where we are. This is something really cool. But thanks again for the demo and preparing for the demo of today and participating in the meeting. Really appreciate it. Awesome. Eder, Luca, Jenny, anything more that you wanted to add here?
I just see Duraj had a question. Was this about the styling work you were asking in the chat?
No, I think Eder answered that. I was asking where the configuration was actually done, whether it was going to be fixed, hard coded in our UI code in Kubeflow, or whether that was going to be like a user configurable thing or something like that.
Yeah, this is another point that I think your question too probably is also be helpful for the community. For the Kubeflow, in the Kubeflow central dashboard, this will be hard coded because only the material UI matters. But when the community wants to have Model Registry integrated in their own app, they can create their custom design tokens, as Jenny showed in her demo, and then have his own colors applied for all the Model Registry app in a pluggable way. This is super nice.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, it's great that community is thinking about the the distributions that may want to take this opportunity to redesign in a new CSS style sheets using these patterns to fit their own distributions, right? It's not just Kubeflow, but you could customize to your own distribution. So that's the using this template. So that's super. And thank you for all your hard work.
So does Patternfly support any other designs like this Patternfly and then this Material UI? Do we support anything else?
No, not yet. Material UI is the first implementation that Jenny was working, but in theory, you can rewrite the tokens because Patternfly has a well-designed documentation of the tokens. Will be a matter of for instance, any other company just take the tokens matching, and then everything will work.
Right.
Great. Yeah. Basically, replicate what Jenny is doing for Material UI, apply to anything else more internal to that distribution. Great.
Excellent. Again, Thank you so much. And I think it's like I will link any community questions about UI to today's recording, so that we'll have it on seat demo recorded. All right. So that was for the first line item. Let me proceed on the agenda. So there is one thing that I wanted to bring to the attention of the community as of this bi-weekly model registry, is that as a community, Kubeflow is working towards graduations, the next step of graduation in CNCF. As part of that, there are some suggestions or sort of like guidelines that the CNCF ask about putting in place some license scanning. By license scanning, we mean some automated tool that can help us verify that all the dependency that we are having in our project, being the Model Registry Go server, but for instance, we've seen today the BFF and the UI screen, all the dependency are correctly licensed to the requirement. So for that, there is a GitHub issue that I've recorded. The GitHub issues sort of like motivate the reason for the Model Registry in the component, but as well seizes the chance of proposing a flow for other Kubeflow projects if they want to adopt the FOSSA license tool. The FOSSA license scanning tool is the one that CNCF proposed, but it's not the one that we must adopt, so to speak. But it's very convenient because like we can just raise a service desk request, and beyond some chores that have taken care of, this is now done. So the way that this would work is that we have currently some scanning that is done as part of a pull request linked to this issue. It shows that today, like the license that we have are compatible with Apache 2, minus some caveats that are actually some, I would say, little bugs or gaps that the tool has. You can see one example of it running in here. If I go to the one that you want to introduce a GitHub action. The scanner will actually perform the scan for you. And what it does is that it makes available a link where we can get the report. So we don't have like a, I would say, failure or a gate in the pull request. It's only to make sure that we have the license scanning in place. And then here, for instance, we can see about the licenses scan, if there are any issues. Actually, there were a couple that were treated, as I mentioned. This is the one that are currently applying to that pull request, all the dependency of the project, if they are having some license information that we need to overview. And then when we will merge that pull request, we can have like a little badge that we can add to the homepage. So to have this one sort of like under control or periodically see. Now, the thing, this is sort of like the overview, very high level of what this proposal and pull request does. I will take now if there are any questions about it, or otherwise I will kindly ask you participants to go in and check at these GitHub issues or the related pull request and leave your comment. Is like if that is good with you, because then we would like to move forward and proceed. So I'm opening the floor now if there are any questions about this proposal. Right? Seeing some reactions. Positive one, not the emojis of the crying face. Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. So again, if you can please take the time, that is the issue number 323, so 323 for the proposal, and then you can find the more details in the pull request. All righty, so that was for the FOSSA license scanning. For the storage initializer, we had some discussion that are running in the thread. Today, Andrea couldn't participate, but this is an area that we are currently being active for. The next step here will be to make sure that the So the initializer code is well integrated with the model registry code from a maintenance point of view. I've asked as well Alessio to keep an eye on it if there are some mutual or replicatable patterns that we can do with regards to the dependency checks. And then eventually here the thing that I was discussing with Andrea, or at least trying to propose, is that I think that to have this solution out of the box when we install Kubeflow in general from the manifest will be to have the manifest adopted in the K7. So this will be the direction that we are set for this topic. If there are any questions or comments, please feel free to raise your hand or comment on it. I don't have any updates on either MLflow integration with Leo, except that, as I mentioned, Leo has taken some job. So I think that beyond his studies, so this is likely an area that we will need to see if we need to rotate on the person looking into this matter, and for as well for MLMD, and that was for the tenancy work, and as well from Andre from matrix and tracking across tuning jobs. So those are things that I'm keeping an agenda item for the bi-weekly meeting. I think it could be important maybe to see if we need some rotations on some of these topics. Checking if there are any questions, but I don't see any raised hand. So I can move on to the next topic, which will be CV tracking. Here, as you probably remember, in the Kubeflow 1.9, we had some overall tables that shows what is being detected using Traviscan that was introduced with the Kubeflow 1.9. You can find the details in the blog post. I think that the key point here is that for Model Registry, some of the figures were actually skewed because we actually reuse some of the images from the other working groups. So some of the numbers here are double counted, some of the numbers in this line about all images were potentially double counted, so that now fixed. And in the Kubeflow manifest repository, you have access to the Travi results. So I mentioned that because maybe, for instance, this is an area where, as the UI team will start to produce an image, this is an area that it's best to keep in track. Because with the GitHub action, there are links you can access to the Traviscan report to check if any of the dependency or the tools that is detected in the image is affected by any CVEs. So just to give you an overview about where we stand last time that I checked. So this was the baseline, as I mentioned. These are source images, meaning the images that we truly sort of like ship in any of the manifests. So we went down in the critical by one, because actually one was sort of like already resolved by just having a new fresh image for Kubeflow Model Registry. And some of them here, as I mentioned, are CVEs numbers that are coming from shared images. This was the last time that I checked. It's a couple of weeks ago. The thing that I wanted to raise to the community here is that possibly we have an opportunity to upgrade to the MySQL image, because that 803 is sort of like the default that Kubeflow pipeline produces in their manifest, but it's not even the image that is deployed as part of the Kubeflow installation. Because with the Kubeflow installation, you actually get another image that was cross-replicated to the Google Container Registry. So here, if anybody wants to volunteer to take any action on this point, I think that the scope of work could be to coordinate with the Kubeflow pipeline team and see if there is any opportunity to upgrade the MySQL images with one of the upstream Docker Hub MySQL version 8 that actually resolved on some of these CVEs. Because I think that doing that will at least decrease the count, say, contributed from Model Registry side, but hopefully will also as well, if an action that is taken on the Kubeflow pipeline working group, it will also benefit on their numbers. I don't want to put anyone on the spot really, but since I see you, Ricardo, do you think this is something that you can help us liaison with the Kubeflow pipeline working group?
Well, give me a little bit of context here. What is the version you are using right now?
Yeah. So the Kube, we are using these two images common with the Kubeflow pipelines. And the thing is that these are the images that are coming from the Kubeflow pipelines manifest in, say, the Kubeflow manifest. But what I'm detecting is also, let's say, just by trying to run the example installation of the Kubeflow manifest, those are not even the images. I mean, for MySQL especially, is the one that I'm more specifically putting attention on, is not the one that is deployed with the Kubeflow installation. So I think here is like, I would like to ask for some more guidance, is like, what happens here if I just say, hey, can I just bump, because this MySQL is the one used by Google MLMD. So I would be interested to know what is the Kubeflow pipeline advice if I simply say, hey, just give me the latest MySQL 8.0. Is this a valid update that I can apply? Because this will decrease a lot of these indicators automatically.
Right. Question to you. Do you know if there's a MariaDB image that's equivalent to MySQL 8 that could mitigate most of the CVEs?
I don't know. I don't know about that one, but it's like if this is something that we can work towards too. But I will still need some advice from the Kubeflow pipeline working group if that MariaDB will be sort of like usable from this Google MLMD.
It should be.
Mm.
Theoretically, it should be. I honestly don't remember the version of the MySQL image used by KFP. I can find out that for you, but I don't know. Looks like it's been stuck for years to the same MySQL image. So probably, yeah, definitely this is something that we need to take a look, because they're not even using an official MySQL image. I don't know. Maybe it's a proposal that I could bring to the pipelines working group. Either using the official MySQL image or migrate to MariaDB. They're pretty much the same thing. And I believe MariaDB is well managed by the community, I guess, and the CVEs will decrease a lot. But yeah, maybe it's something that we could, that's an issue we should work together between the pipelines and the Model Registry working groups.
Yeah, yeah, please, Ramesh, please go ahead, and then I will just go after.
I was wondering, Matthew, if in Model Registry we can take a look at the MariaDB. I know we talked about MariaDB versus the Postgres, right? MariaDB is a smaller jump, obviously, to keep both the KFP and Model Registry in sync. Would it be better if we switch it out to MariaDB and see how the scanning looks like before we go, write a proposal or ask KFP to switch it over to a particular version?
other thing I'd like to mention. Sorry, Matteo. It's just to I think it's worth mentioning that um, each work each working group and this Kubeflow components should be independent in terms of making decisions on what are the dependencies they would like to use. So feel free to consider moving to MariaDB without asking the pipelines working group for now. So you're supposed to be independent from the other working groups, especially uh, if you see that this is raising a lot of critical and high CVEs for Model Registry.
No, it's not just model registry. It's raising. It's for both KFP and model registry. So if we solve for one, we solve for both. So that's
I know.
right.
Yeah, it's just to say that, well, Pipelines Working Group is trying to reorganize themselves. There are people they are handing over to other contributors. So yeah, it might be tough to raise those issues just now because we're in the middle of this reorg. So it again, if that's somewhat blocking Model Registry to mitigate the CVEs, feel free to do so. And let me see if I can raise that same concern to the pipelines working group and see if we can do some, maybe work on a way that all of the common dependencies across Kubeflow components should be handled by one single working group. I don't know, handing over to the platforms working group or something. Anyways, yeah, again, feel free to make your decisions on the DB image.
Well noted, Ricardo. The only point is, let's say, and indeed, it's not the intention of sort of like just making a hard dependency on KFP. The thing is that, as also Dizraj was noting in the chat, and as I was trying to explain, since this is a common image that we basically just copied over, I thought that maybe if we can at least try some coordination or at least sharing of information between working groups, I think this could be greatly appreciated, and this is where I'm trying to sort of like rely on the liaisons figures so that we can, have at least ensure this passing of information. Then indeed, it's sort of like one way to solve this problem could be to just use a MySQL 8.0 and just bump in the sort of like the micro version. Another great idea to bump it would be to move it over to MariaDB. So this is definitely option that we can consider. But for the time being, since this is the exact same image from the Kubeflow pipeline working group, I thought this is a good chance to have the liaisons help us to coordinate information or at least share information. Then, of course, when it will come to making a decision, at least we will have collected more data points, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. So yeah, it's up to you to move forward with that.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. And let's see if there is any sort of like spot in the agenda for the Kubeflow pipeline working group. I'm happy to participate in that meeting and sort of like go forward and explain the question. And then, of course, I truly state and appreciate you underlining that each working group will take its own independent decision. I just thought about having some sharing of information across working groups. All righty. So let me just close these ones. And then just as a reminder for the community is like we have the roadmap tracker that sort of like try to mimic some of the agenda items that I mentioned earlier. So here is the work that we sort of like we are trying to achieve for the Kubeflow 1.10 and beyond the actual data and bullet points. Just as a reminder about what we've been talking about in the previous bi-weekly Model Registry meetings or in the Kubeflow community. The 3 teams will be around the UI work. So thanks again for the UI team for taking the chance today to showcase integration with other Kubeflow components. And there will be some highlights about integrating some storage solution with potentially OSTI as a preferred artifact header.
Matteo, we don't have a cutoff any of those dates yet, right?
No, there is a sort of like a proposed timeline, but as I was mentioning earlier, I'm not looking for sort of like a hard binding things right now. What I want to make sure that we do is that, for instance, here I have only one line for Kubeflow Model Registry.
Yep.
I would like that. I like the presentation that is showing like the tracking point, so that as we will progress toward the 1.10 when it will kickstart rolling, then we can say, okay, for 1.10 we got here, we got this time forward to the cutoff dates of whatever. These are the things that we can anticipate to the users. This is what you can expect in 1.10. So it's not really to make a kind of like a commitment, but at least to set a roadmap so that we can. And also, as mentioned here, this is for it's a great suggestion by Stefano and Ricardo the previous time. We put a disclaimer on top that this is what we're working towards, is our roadmap. And then depending on how the 1.10, 1.11, whatever release cadence will be, depending on this date, then some of these will be inside, some of that will roll over. That makes sense.
Yep. Thank you.
To you. And with that, I don't have any other agenda item unless somebody has some other points that they want to add. I don't see any raised hand, so I think that I want, again, thank you everybody for the participation, and I think that I can give you 5 minutes back from today. I hope that you found this meeting interesting. I really appreciated the UI demos and all the coordination, so thank you for your attendance, and I'm looking forward to see you in the Kubeflow community that happens every week at Tuesday, or the next Kubeflow bi-weekly meeting. With that, thank you, and to the next one.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Matthew. Bye-bye.
Thanks.